Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New View podcast. My name is Mac.
And my name is Megan.
Come along with us as we dive into the world of competitive Irish dancing and beyond,
sharing perspectives, developing community, and learning from each other.
We hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to New View. We're so excited to have a very special episode today featuring our moms. We're going to talk all things dance and what it means to be a parent of an Irish dancer and what that journey looks like from a dancer's perspective as well as a mom's perspective. So we're excited to chat today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this episode. I think we've had such great dancers as guests on the podcast who've shared such awesome insights. But I think moms are not necessarily just moms, but I think behind every great dancer, like there's a great support network. And for us, I think, Megan, it's fair to say our moms are such a key part of our support networks. We also have great dads and other people in our court, but our moms have been such instrumental aspects of our dancing careers. So I know they each have awesome insights to share that I think will be useful for other people to hear. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun and it's going to be nice to chat. We thought we'd maybe start out with the first question, which is just how has mine and Megan's involvement in Irish dancing shaped or maybe changed your perspective as moms or as parents? So I know you both, it's different because I'm an only child and Monica, like you have two other children as well who weren't as involved in Irish dancing. So curious your thoughts.
Who do you want to start?
Do you want to go first?
Okay. So the question was, how has your perspective changed regarding dance?
Yeah.
And Irish dance more specifically. I don't think my perspective has changed so much as my belief system is more intact. After all these years, I always believed, and Stephen and I always believed that our daughter was going to be involved in sports. And from a very young age, we had before, like she was walking, she was skiing, downhill racing, got her into some golf, lots of track and field and everything. But sports was a big part of her life, even before Irish dance. My perspective is that that did not hurt anybody. And it made her strong. She got to understand what it meant to be technically good at something, to be better at something. It encourages your competitiveness and then, your humbleness if you win or lose. And it's sort of a reflection of what real life is like. And yeah, so I think perspective wise, I am thrilled that she became a great Irish dancer, but it all came with being grounded as a normal person.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Okay.
What about you, Monica?
Monica?
Well, I'd say Nancy, you killed it. I that was such a lofty question that for me, I didn't really know where to start and bite that off. But I agree. I think if somebody would have told me when my kids were born, like you're going to have this crazy experience in Irish dance, I would have scratched my head and said, "What are you talking about?" But to watch it kind of unfold and to be witness to it has been really fun and very challenging as a mom of three kids to make sure that I was giving each kid their own attention and their time and their encouragement. Irish dance, as we all know, is a commitment for not just the dancer, but the whole family. But it's really allowed us an opportunity to, as a family, kind of reflect on ourselves as a whole. We all give to each other, we all support each other, we all wish each other well. We make space for the work that needs to be done and the time and the finances that go with whatever your commitment is. I think for Kent and I, my husband, Megan's dad, it really allowed us to focus on what the core values of being in this competitive Irish dance scene really were for our family. And it was really about work, respect, showing up, doing your best, and then, you know, like being humble and real and authentic about the whole experience, whether it was an opportunity to travel to a country or lose a competition, not do as well as you wanted, or win. It was all about what an incredible experience this has been and what a gift it has been to have this opportunity. So, trying to just keep that forward in mind always has been probably the biggest change, something I would have never imagined when little Megan was born and little Megan won the worlds. So
Totally. Well, I mean, I just think it's, yeah, I know how much time and effort my mom has put into my dancing career. And so I'm always kind of in awe of other parents too who are doing the same. And then they've got two other kids who maybe are in Irish dancing, maybe aren't, and being able to just kind of stay grounded and then use Irish dancing for the opportunities that it provides you along the way. I think that deserves a globe in and of itself. But
fair
yeah,
enough.
I think that's awesome. What has surprised you guys the most over the course of our dancing careers? Do you think?
Um, I think for me, it was incredible amount of willpower. And what I mean by that is, I know lots of kids get into sports and get really good at stuff they do, but the incredible willpower that I witnessed from the little setbacks to the big ones, that it never stopped you. So, at any time we could have all just said, okay, well, that's enough of that. But it was your willpower that kept us going and going and going. And
Maybe to a fault.
because nothing would stop you from, by the time you were 12, nothing was going to stop you. It was on a train, it was on a track, and there was no getting off. Sort of how I kind of remember it. But, the little setbacks were the injuries, right, Megan? Like whether it was a heel or a kneel or your knee or uh, what's the one in the hip? The
I don't know.
I don't know. And those were what you thought at the time were horrible. And then there was the big one where you broke your back. And then we're thinking, okay, well, after the surgery, does the doctor think you're going to dance again? And, it's like 50-50. Well, little did he know a year later. No, it was 2 years because you had to do nothing for 6 months. But those sort of things, again, we were still on the train tracks even then. And it's like, wow, okay, if it just goes to show you what willpower can do. That's my takeaway, the big surprise. Okay, your turn. Your turn.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines with that in that it's more about the commitment and stick-to-itiveness that I saw everybody in the family develop, the commitment toward helping Megan continue on her path. Everybody had to make a commitment to that. And then when Megan would lead it and we all followed behind, it was just a really powerful experience to have. Hey, sometimes as a mom, you don't have to know all the things to do, but when you watch your kid do something they love, and the family was able to see that in Megan, it allowed us to all support her more. Um, and so when, the quiet was there after, a crazy travel experience or a missed flight or um, a lost buckle or a broken lace or something, it was really more about you know, Megan's goal and her willingness to kind of meet the challenges, whether they were big or small, and be there and learn together as a family was probably what surprised me the most, is that it gave us a huge gift. Dance did. It really allowed me as a parent an opportunity to not have to know how to do everything, but to just be in the experience and trust that if we stuck with our values and followed Megan's commitment, that we would get to where we needed to be and enjoy the ride,
Nice.
like
I
the
love
train tracks.
I love that.
Very good.
Um, I just a thought that kind of popped up for me as both of you were kind of sharing your answers is I don't know. I remember many times where it felt like, oh, this is gonna be the one. Like this is gonna be the thing that just throws the train off the tracks, and like she's not gonna support this anymore, or like this is gonna be the thing that, stops this. And I guess I came to a point where it stopped surprising me, but in those moments, even when there was some really, not great times or whatever, and it felt like, oh, this isn't going to keep going like this. You always did come around, and kind of Monica, like you were saying, you didn't necessarily always have the answers, but there was a commitment to finding the answers. And even in moments when I thought, I don't know that this is going to keep going like this, you always did rally um,
I'm
behind
the
me.
rallier.
Yeah, no, and then I think that stopped surprising me at a certain point. I was like, like it feels like this is gonna come to an end now, but it's not going to. But it's just from a dancer's or kid's perspective, I think it was kind of like, whoa, like they're still behind me on this, even after that crazy thing that just happened or whatever. Megan, I don't know if you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was thinking as they were talking, like, what surprised me then from my end as the dancer. And I would say I'm along the same lines as you, Mac. Like, at times I would be surprised my mom would say yes or be like, let's go to this competition and make it this big trip and do this and that. And I would just be like, oh, cool, you want to do it too? Like, great. I thought it was just me, like, fun. And it's just kind of interesting when like your parents really begin to trust you and you're only like 12.
Do you know what also that brings to mind is the growth you were talking about, like as a family, but I'm thinking the growth as an individual. Like, okay, by the time you're at that age, we're all professionals, we're all busy working, we all have incredible lives and doing stuff, but the growth you experience on a human level and understanding how everybody else got to this point too, and you begin to say, well, actually, I'm growing because I'm actually learning how to not just say what's on my mind. I'm learning how to listen better. I'm learning to pay attention to the funny small things in life that are important and not important. So I don't know, we all kept growing. No one just sort of jumped in and said, oh, we'll just follow you around, Megan, and do whatever you tell us to do. No, we were all growing. So I think that's, to me, sort of what I take away from Monica's point.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
anyways,
no,
I like that.
yeah.
One other big surprise I would say is
another big one.
I hope this is evident here is the friends. We have made incredible friends like you guys across the world and experienced this together. And it's been really pretty cool to know, there's a pair of us in the UK and a pair of us in Calgary and a pair of us in Chicago. We have these mom-daughter friends that we've made along the way that have been just you wouldn't make those friendships if you weren't traveling and competing and in these peculiar venues, competing under that kind of stress and trying to make everything get together and you really help each other out and you really get to know somebody, even though you're together in little short doses of time, you
Ooh.
understand where that other person is and where their daughter and mom are, and it's a neat experience, one I'm very grateful for.
Totally. And just to build off of that quickly too, I mean, I think we all have this common shared experience of Irish dancing. Obviously, Megan and I have our very unique shared experiences together, and then you guys would have things that are in common that you've shared. And that's maybe the thing that kind of, allow these relationships to start. But then it's also kind of like, well, where are we going to go from here too? Like, just because, Irish dancing is the thing that we like shared in common from the start, we
Mhm.
can build now on that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. So we're curious, Mac and I, if you, our moms, were to come upon another dance family who had a little Mac or a little Megan who had some big, huge goals at quite a young age and was super into dancing, what might you tell them to prepare them for this journey or to just give them a couple of tools? What would you say to guide other people?
That is interesting because I have been asked, by people that have said, "Oh, what did you do when Megan was this age?" Or should we sign up for the classes? And my goal has always been to enjoy the process and the journey and not the destination. And I mean, we've no doubt gone to a lot of destinations because of Irish dance and traveling, so to speak, physically, but to just enjoy all the small moments. So if you get on the ride or the train, like Nancy said, and you get in the tracks and you find yourself moving along from a fesh to an Oireachtas and then a Oireachtas to a major and a major to a worlds, don't make a goal out of an achievement, make the journey your goal because it will pay off the whole way in all sorts of little bits and pieces, allowing for if you should ever achieve that dream of winning your worlds or whatever it may be, winning an Oireachtas, a nationals, it makes it matter all the better because you have done it with joy and appreciation in your heart. Not every step of the way. I mean, there's been travel delays and lost luggage and extreme amounts of money that we've thrown at things, but um, the journey has always left us with some pretty good stories and a lot of laughs. And let's be honest, some shopping that I loved.
What's
Um,
your advice?
well, I think there was the sort of the what advice do you have for parents whose kids expressed an interest or big dreams? And I kind of had to say, well, I would separate them into two different parcels because the interest is the kids learn how to dance and that learning those steps and the timing and the music and these kids in a studio coming together to learn these things and the friendship that's developed within that group or community and how lasting it is and how these are very important people then and now. And I look at those kids that had a strong interest and kept it going all the way through high school and beyond. But there was never this thing like I'm going to win a worlds. Like the interest was I have to be good at school, so I get to stay in dance. That was sort of a thing in the school for us. And so now these kids, like Mac being a little bit older, like they're 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 lawyers and doctors. They have these incredible lives now that the journey started as an Irish dancer. The kid who has the big dream and the big, like that's where we talked about that dedication from a team of people who make it happen. And it's the kid who has that big dream also is going to realize they're going to end up spending a lot of time alone because in that aloneness is where they're seeking their perfection. And it's not just fun and games, but for them it is. They love it. And learning something is is key and paramount because it's developing all those little brain cells that are making you also good in school or whatever. But I'd say those are two different tracks, and they're both equally as interesting and as important. And you have to do with what you make of it and make sure you know what your kid is doing.
And is it fair to say you have to kind of check in periodically, probably, to make sure you're understanding where your kid is at with it? I don't know.
Absolutely. I can think of lots of moms who, everybody starts off thinking, oh, I'm going to do my first competition. And then they are doing their 10th one. But at some point, the child or the parent or someone is saying, this is going to be a really fun thing for you to continue to do. And others might say, maybe this is not the time for us to be hitting that next competition.
I feel like that must be a hard thing as a parent. I'm just curious too, because this is a hot,
It's two different ways of looking
well, it's
at
a
it.
hot topic in psychology. And Megan, I know you and I have both experienced this to an extent, but I'm curious from like a parent's perspective as well. Um, if and when you notice maybe your child is like burning out a little bit, because, Megan and I think are outliers, or I guess unique in the sense of like we're both very passionate about it. And sometimes like that passion could maybe override the maybe smarter decision in a given moment. And I'm just curious as a parent, like how did you navigate that in moments when maybe you were watching either of us in a spell of burnout and like maybe not making the best decisions as young adults or young athletes in terms of like managing that burnout, or maybe that didn't even happen. I'm just curious.
Ooh.
That's a good question though.
Yeah.
'Cause I can see the other side of that being, uh, because Megan has a sister, and the reason that she got involved in Irish dance is her sister got involved in Irish dance first. And so I was taking her older sister to class, so it was like throw Megan in since you're here anyway. And Molly's experience was very different than Megan's in that she enjoyed the social side, the exercise component of it, the going to a fesh and having fun and competing, but she didn't have major goals beyond being in a club, so to speak, and having this sport as her sport. Um, and so there was, as a parent, you could see like potential, but not necessarily that locked in kind of goal setting. And so that's one challenge. But then you flip it on its head and you get a kid like a Megan or a Mac who is very self-motivated and driven, and can lock in and kind of step in like, I love this sport and now I want to do everything I can in it. Um, I think that passion part of it is amazing. Um, but I do think there is some competition burnout and training that can happen, especially in a sport that, like Irish dance, that doesn't really have an off season. So there were some deliberate attempts, I think, early on with Megan, where we were just saying we're going to sit this out and sit that out so that we didn't have to really go all the
Like,
way to the end of the competition line at every point of the competition year. Like taking some summers off, taking a nationals off, that type of thing. But also, I think that's part of parenting is you have to help your kids see when enough is enough and just say, hey, it's time for a rest. You look burned out. You look exhausted. One less day at the studio is not gonna
mhm.
impact you, or a little more balance. Maybe you need to do a little strength training instead of dancing and, go have some fun with your friends and that type of thing. So it, it, I get it as a competitive kind of mindset that it's go, 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 but you have to look for those. Just watch your kid and then make sure you encourage them to respect their psyche and their body and just take a break.
Totally. Yeah. What do you think?
I agree. I'm trying to think of one battle that we might have won and I can't. I mean, was there, I mean, I remember when it was the most depressing year of our lives when you broke your back, and all we could do was get you home from the hospital, and then, a week or two later, walk down the steps to the front sidewalk, and then eventually get around the block. And the whole thing was just, I just couldn't even cope. Actually, but, and it was because you were so depressed. And it was, and I can't handle that. So, I just think everybody's on their own journey, and that, you did everything, you probably did everything right to get back to being able to be mobile again. And that was the right thing. I mean, should we have just said, you just stay on the couch for at least you were told to sit and do nothing for 6 months?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in our
And it was
case,
brutal.
I think I would agree, like the back situation was uh one of those times where it was kind of like my body said you need to be done. And it was, and I think it was a group team learning experience in that, because I do think things were different after that. Like there was a little bit more of like a collective awareness of needing to balance um, training and just like mental rest and all that stuff
Mhm.
as well. And
Yeah.
I think that is always, I think, one of your, if somebody is to ask me what is a characteristic that I think is amazing about you, is it's your enthusiasm. But I think then it's like learning, okay, how do we direct that enthusiasm? And again, like I'm always so grateful that you had that, because if it weren't for that, I don't think I would have gotten to where I got to. But then I think, like I said, I think it was like a collective learning experience when we got to that point.
I love that comment though, Mac, because rarely do the moms hear from the dancer how what attribute they are proud of. And to hear you say your mom's enthusiasm makes me just sparkle, because that is it. She is so enthusiastic, where I'm probably, on the other side of that.
You're very real.
I'm
That's
like,
what I like.
where is the lesson in this? What do we need to take away? And so I think it was just very nice to hear you say that, because not the moms, we're always telling you what's great about you when you go get up on stage, and we mean it. And we want you to be your best self and to have that moment where you just feel great joy. Um, but it's a lot of giving, and I loved just seeing you give something to your mom there. That was beautiful.
Aren't I just so special and nice?
So, moms, I'm curious then. We've been very positive with this last little bit, but I'm wondering, as a parent, how were you able to handle the disappointing moments? Because, like we've said, dance really involves the mom and the daughter in a lot of cases, or the dancer and the parent. Um, it's very involved with the whole family, kind of requires that. So, when there was a disappointing result or an injury or things just didn't go to plan, how did you handle that? Either for your dancer because they were upset, or maybe your dancer felt okay, but you were having a hard time just as a parent.
Hmm.
What do you think?
For me, I can take that question just slightly off the the line, but when I think about the most disappointing thing, okay, Monica, do you remember when, oh, I want to be an Irish dancer? And okay, we might have gone to Riverdance, and so we found a school and we did that and knew nothing about it, but it really worked well for the schedule. And someone could pick you up and drop you off, and it was all good. What I look back on for me, and I know it's not fair, But the most disappointing thing is not in you and the whole where it all went, but there was the subjectivity in this sport versus sort of that empirical finish. You either are you're measured in millimeters or points of a second, or any other sport almost is a goal or a touchdown or whatever. And in Irish dance, it's a very subjective. And I didn't get that when, like, I didn't understand any of that because by the time going to your first fesh, you've had to dance for a few years, right?
I guess maybe a year or two.
Yeah. And so that was a huge learning thing for me was you're always being judged on your hair and your makeup, and you're not even being judged necessarily on your skill or your talent or what skills are the empirical ones or what, like that. Just to this day, I can sit here and struggle with a bit.
Do you
And
think that's hard because as a parent, you see things that your dancer's doing well and you know all the time and effort they put in, so to be judged subjectively is kind of unfair?
maybe because of how it all comes about and the system in which it's all put in and under. But it is also what I've come to accept and realize, and it was a really great growth opportunity for us as a family, was that subjectivity is actually mirroring life. Every day you're being judged. Every day, whether you're at work or you're at school or whatever. We don't get away from that as humans. We're always being judged. Did you write a good report? And, was it meaningful? Did this work or did someone do that better? And how is it like we live in that kind of social
Mhm.
Yeah.
practice in the world. So in the end, Irish dance mirrors real life. So that's what I'm going to take away from it. Okay, your turn, Monica.
I did not expect like disappointment. I was thinking more along the lines of like COVID. Like that was terrible. To watch all the work you had done, that was probably one of the biggest disappointments I had. And then to watch it all just be put on hold. But I also think in that regard, like you said, Nancy, it's an opportunity where life mirrors dancing and dancing mirrors life. Um, it taught everybody around the world how to get through a challenging time together. And, in the early days, it was, I can't even go to class. But by the end of it, it was, hey, I'm having a great time making a video out in the backyard on the driveway and connecting with a friend on Instagram, or something. And um, those huge disappointments end up turning into mirrors of life. It just is dances. I always say it's like a fire hose of life. It's going to come at you, just everything that happens in life, but just a little bit faster and a little more furious and a little bit more evident, all of the impact and emotions. But it's,
I hate COVID
yeah.
too.
Yeah, yeah. I would say COVID was probably the most disappointing time just because Megan and Mac, I mean, first of all, you guys had just kind of really met and gotten to be friends, and you were both doing so well, um, kind of in your competitions, and it was at a really, and then everything just went floop and got quiet. That was a disappointing moment. And I think anytime you get to a major and you walk away with either the major doesn't happen, like in COVID, or you walk away with um, a, a, a position or points that you didn't expect to get. Um, like you said, Nancy, it's a growth opportunity. There's always a lesson to be learned. Um, and I always said Irish dance is, just a metaphor for life in so many ways. Yep.
Totally.
Today, the subjective matter was they didn't care for you dancing. And
Yeah.
but are you proud of yourself? And what do you want to take away from this day and this moment?
hmm
Perfect.
I mean, I totally am sensing the theme in those both of those quotes, even though they were kind of different, but I feel like there's the theme. And Megan, I don't know, are you reminded of one of our recent conversations just talking about kind of sort of being able to, I guess, accept and embrace the hard moments when they're happening?
Mhm.
This is really reminding me of that conversation. I don't know about you.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think the dancing journey, like our moms both said, really mimics life and the ups and the downs. And sometimes you're at a long plateau, or maybe you're like going down the hill for quite a while, but eventually life has its way of going up again. Maybe you're on a streak of not recalling, and then you recall and hit your goal or whatever. And
Mhm.
dance mimics that in life when maybe you're, oh, haven't found your footing in like a social group and haven't found your
Mhm.
thing and don't know what to do. Then all of a sudden it seems like things just click out of nowhere. Um, I think that really defines life. And we're lucky, I think, to have that perspective and those experiences to call upon when we might be having like a plateau or a down moment in life, to be able to handle that, because we know, oh, in dancing, like it won't last forever, but maybe it feels like it will, or maybe this feels like the hardest one yet, but somehow you danced for all those years and
Mhm.
turned out just fine. So, like, there's no reason life couldn't be that way, right?
Good
Yes,
point.
I love that.
Very good.
Yes, thank you for summarizing it that way because I think that was perfect. Okay, well, I think we ended that question on a pretty positive note, but just to really finish off on a super highlight, curious and not to just pump our tires, but what have been like the proudest moments for you guys during this whole Irish dancing journey? Monica, do you want to go first?
And may I interject? I'm wondering if moms have a proud moment of their daughter, and maybe my mom has been lucky enough to witness a lot of moments in Mac's career too. Do you have anything you've witnessed
Mm.
that you're proud of too?
There's a lot. There's so many. I mean, if you said the proudest moment, it may have been what Megan just said about learning so much about life through dance and perspective. What a true gift it is to watch your kid grow up like that and have that kind of
Yeah.
vision. So that's a proud moment. Another proud moment was I remember being at the World's Mac when you won, and Megan just and I sobbing. She was as happy for you as if it was her. And I thought, this is sportsmanship. This is, she didn't get what she wanted that day, but you won, and she was just
I think I felt better that day than
you.
when I won Worlds, because I was just like, I'm so
She was
excited for,
just tickled pink.
because I
So
can see like the outside. I can
yeah.
see the work and I know the
I
person.
can tell you about a proud moment when Megan won Worlds, and we were all over the moon, and Mac didn't win that year. But the the proudest moment I was because your dad was there and Kent was there. And, I'm used to seeing Monica a lot, and we go through a lot together and we can chat forever. But when Kent was there, and to see the emotion of how Kent felt that day made me feel like it was all worthwhile, because sometimes they don't get it quite the same. I mean, in our families, like they're totally supportive and all that. But to see the emotion in Kent, that to me brought everything full circle and made it all worthwhile, because that's a greater group of people that really get it. And that meant a lot.
Well, and so can I just add on to that? Sorry. But I think also it's kind of a pride in the community you're a part of. Like I think at that point we'd all been such big parts of each other's stories in the recent years, kind of leading up to that. And then yeah, I guess just getting to be a part of each other's wins and also being there in like the dark moments too,
Yep.
no matter what, and like just the pride in that community, I think overall. Is that fair to say? I think that's like a really, really cool thing and something about the human experience that's just like
Don't
pretty
get me
awesome.
wrong. I saw the tears in your dad's eyes a couple of times too.
But I think that's true for the dancers too. Like I remember Mac's moment of winning almost more clearly than my own, and just like being so excited with your mom and all of your group too, and just getting to celebrate with your family as well. And then in my own moment too, not only getting to celebrate with my parents, but also seeing Mac like running full speed at me. I was like, this couldn't be better, right? You know, all of my
Better.
people are here.
Well, and I'm always looking for a through line. So maybe the through line here is it's one thing to have your own joy and to accomplish your own goals. It's another thing to watch somebody else accomplish theirs. And it's when you spend so much time together and so many years, even though like the moments are short when you're actually at the competition, the time to get there is so intense and long, but to develop these friendships with other competitors from other dance schools, other dancers and moms is just such a gift and really has been something that makes me proud of, like we've got lovely friends all over the world and we get to celebrate with them when they're having successes as well. So it's been a real treat.
Totally. Well, I love that. I think that's such a nice note to kind of finish on. And this has
Oh.
been,
I have
Oh.
one question though. Moms, it's important we know what's your favorite dance?
Oh,
oh,
You can only pick one.
I know mine,
Go ahead.
a slip jig. There's nothing that will get me like a slip jig. I'm often crying when they're playing. I love a slip.
I would say that
when
too.
Megan does it, I would
Yeah.
say.
But it's the Planksty at 76. Like that one is, whew,
Good old set dance.
I love that. It
Yeah,
just
I cry like I'm Mac's mom during that.
Just wishing for it to be over.
but it's the pure joy and it's
Yeah.
just seeing, that's the one I actually sit back and relax and I just take it in and just watch everything and just feel it and that just going to my grave and on my deathbed I will ask Mackenzie
That's
to
serious.
pull out a 76 and
Keep
show me
practicing.
76. There we go. I'm done.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Monica's flip jig. Nancy's favorite is a Davis at 76. I like it.
The rest is history.
Good job, girls.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was really fun. Just to get to chat dance, kind of do what we always do anyways. But yeah, no, this has been awesome. So hopefully we can do another episode sequel
With the guys.
soon. Yeah. Father's Day episode.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. See you later.
Bye. Thanks for joining us in this episode of the New View podcast. We hope you enjoyed.
If you have any ideas about future guests we should interview or want to connect, you can find us on Instagram at newview.collective or email us at newviewcollective.mm@gmail.com.